let's dive into now the most underrated players of this 2025 NFL draft. We will do them. Then we're going to do the players who have some ground to make up, players who desperately need to finish strong. Mel, this was your suggestion and a very good one. But let's start with underrated. Mel, give me a player who people aren't talking nearly enough about.
It's rare, guys, that you see a defensive tackle at a program for 6 years. I mean, we've seen quarterbacks stay for a long time, 6, 7 years, but you had a redshirt year in 2019, COVID year in 2020. They don't count. Then 4 straight years of playing really solid football at Nebraska, and it's Ty Robinson. Number 9, Ty Robinson, 6'6", 310-pounder. I love the strength and the way he pushes that pocket. Number stats, and I think it was great the other night. I think Chris Collinsworth was talking about it with Jalen Carter. You can be a disruptive dominator, and the stat chart isn't going to show it. The stats aren't going to reflect how much you meant to that defense, how much you meant to that football team, and allowed everybody else to have success. Jalen Carter is dominant, but Jalen Carter's numbers, what did he play? If you didn't watch the game, you wouldn't know. Ty Robinson's one of those guys, and his stats have improved. His production has improved from a number standpoint, but he's always been a guy, when he's out there, boy, you better have 2 guys on him. You better know that he's going to push it, and he's going to play ferocious football from start to finish. Ty Robinson, to me, and this is a great defensive tackle group where some guys are going to get lost in the shuffle. Walter Nolan have been a little back and forth. You saw him last week. He's out there making plays. He's out there dominant. So, again, these guys have all flashed. They've all been guys that we said, boy, on a certain week, I like this guy a little more than that guy. But I'll tell you what, Jake Toye at UCLA, nice player. You think at that 10 spot to try to cut it off at 10 is impossible. I feel awful just not having 11, 12, 13, 16 in that top 10 somewhere. But to me, Ty Robinson in that second round is going to be a guy that really comes into the NFL. He's going to be, I think, 24 in May. Yeah, it's not like these quarterbacks. We talk about quarterbacks because they played so much. He'll be a 24-year-old rookie, but he will have a ton of experience, and he will have everything from a technique standpoint and experience standpoint, knowing every trick in the book to get after the quarterback, stuff to run on the way to the quarterback. I love the way Ty Robinson plays. I think second round for him would make a lot of sense.
Big Arizona kid, right? He's just a powerful. They got a bunch of those guys that kind of fit that same mold. I'll start down in TCU by way of the Bayou. Jack Bech. This guy, baller, having a great season this year, up over 1,000 receiving yards at wide receiver for TCU this season, which, by the way, has another receiver that we've talked about, Savion Williams, who's kind of become this jack of all trades for their offense. They've really needed a spark. He's given them that. But Jack Bech is a flat-out baller. Let's think about this path, by the way. And regardless of how up or down LSU was when Bech was there, he led the team as a true freshman in catches at LSU on a team, by the way, that also had 2 guys named Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, who went 6th and 17th overall last year in the draft, or whatever it was that Brian Thomas Jr. ended up going to the Jaguars. This kid came in, was an immediate impact true freshman or freshman contributor for the LSU program. Now he's at TCU, and he's kind of become the focal point of the passing game for this Horned Frogs offense. And you think about some of the things that he does so incredibly well. First of all, it looks like he's gliding when the football is in his hands. He looks like he's gliding across the field. He moves so smoothly, so efficiently, so just has great vision, great instincts as a runner, has good speed. He's got good size as well. He listed at 6'2", excellent route runner, catches everything that comes his way. This wide receiver class is going to be very, very interesting for this reason, Green. I don't know if Mel agrees or disagrees with this. I think we have 3 that stand way up here. And we've talked about them already. Travis Hunter and Tet McMillan and also Luther Burden. That's my order. It's probably, an order that could be jumbled a little bit. Feels like a gap from there. Feels like a decent gap from there to wide receiver 4, whether you're Mecca Abuga, whether you're Isaiah Bond, whoever it might be. But it feels like the value this year in wide receiver might be snagging one of those 3rd or 4th round guys, because there are some darn good football players that will go somewhere in the 3rd or 4th round. I think Jack Bech could be an example of that.
Yeah, Jack's an interesting guy because he was a kid. Notre Dame wanted him, Texas wanted him, and TCU wanted him out of high school as well as LSU got him. And he ended up going to TCU. He's got size. He's got the ability. I going back to his LSU days, and I watched it the other day because I didn't know you were going with this kid. I mean, he had a touchdown reception against Alabama. Remember, there was a couple games there where he was impressive. And then this year in September, I believe it was, 3 games there against, it was SMU, UCF, and Kansas. He had like 27 catches for a 19-yard average and 5 touchdowns in those 3 games in September this year. So the production for this kid is there. Like I say, Savion Williams, I've been using at that quarterback spot. He's a receiver from TCU, is going to be, I think, a second-round draft choice. When he tests out, Savion Williams is going to be tested out off the charts coming out of TCU. But this kid has a chance to be one of those day 3 receivers that sticks in the NFL and ends up being a productive player.
So let's keep it moving, Mel. Keep it going with your next underrated player here, and that's the defensive back out of Texas.
Yeah, and I tell you, this kid for 3 years. I mean, I remember 3 years ago, he had 11 and a half tackles for a loss. And I'm thinking, this guy's popping. And I had an NFL general manager text me and said, "Watch that kid." This was it might have been 2 years ago, not 3 years ago. I was watching. And I said, "Yeah, the kid's all over the field making plays. Hey, you can use him any which way you want a defensive back to be." He's done it, and he can get after the quarterback. He timed that out against Arkansas. He had a sack. He had an interception. He's breaking up passes. Jahdae Barron is a kid who has been for 3 full years as much of a difference maker, an integral part of that Texas defense as anybody. I love the way Alfred Collins is coming on, another defensive tackle, by the way, who's popping and getting being disruptive without great stats. Alfred Collins is one of those guys, falls into that category. But certainly, I think Barron, as that guy, Field, you can put him, and a defensive coordinator is going to say, just like we said about what I love about Kiper Jr.
Yeah,
do a lot of things with him. And look what he's doing with the Eagles right now. He's a hell of a player, number 33. So this kid, I think Barron at Texas will be. Kiper Jr. went second round. I thought he should have been a 1. Barron, to me, and I'm doing the top 25 for Friday. He's top 25 football player for me. But the grades may push him to 30. Will or make the 25? We'll see. He is no later, in my opinion, Field, than a second round draft. I'm kind of getting all these 2s. Ty Robinson and Barron. They're second rounders who are going to be saying after 3 or 4 years in the NFL, or after maybe 2 years in the NFL, why weren't they first round picks?
Yeah, I got Barron a little bit lower than that. I think he ends up like late 2 in the early 3 range. I'm just not so sure the speed is there. He reminds me of, and I know Mel just mentioned Kiper Jr. And Mel's the comp king, by the way, throwing out comps left and right. A little bit of, without the crazy, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Right? You know, like you kind of, is he a corner? Is he a safety? Is he a nickel linebacker? It doesn't matter. He can play him anywhere. He gets a lot of utility out of it. He's got great instincts and ball skills as well, does Barron. I'll keep things moving along here. And mine is Billy Bowman Jr. So I was going to say Big 12, but they are no longer in the Big 12. Another SEC player, Billy Bowman Jr., and I think is perhaps an underrated safety class. We all talk about Malachi Starks, who we think is going to be, one of the first, call it 10 or 12 players taken in this year's draft, if not much sooner than that. Pretty good safety depth, though, in this class. And what I like about Billy Bowman Jr. is he is a center fielder. He's got great range. The ball is somewhere within his eyesight. He's got a decent chance to get there. He's gonna put that umbrella on the back end of your defense. But he's fast and he'll hit as well. This guy is unafraid to initiate some contact. Now, does he have great body armor, or is he this Cam Chancellor size safety? No, definitely not. But he is unafraid to stick his nose in there. That much is for sure. Great leader. Guy's got A++ football character, been a huge part of Oklahoma's program. Massive win last Saturday against Alabama, a dominant defensive effort. I thought Billy Bowman, kind of one of the keys of that Brett Venables defense, really like that player. I think he could be a second round safety this year.